Hey everyone, this is Pete, and welcome back to Atari A to Z Flashback, a series of short playthroughs of the 150 games that make up Atari Flashback Classics for Nintendo Switch. Today's game is Backgammon. This was a 1979 release for the Atari 2600, and it was one of the first ever digital adaptations of the board game Backgammon. It was praised at the time of its original release for its variety of ways to play. So there's 8 different game modes in this package, including AC/DC. Your guess is as good as mine because I don't know Backgammon very well. And you can also make use of a doubling cube for gambling. Now this is quite an interesting thing about a lot of Atari 2600 games, and indeed a lot of other electronic games around the time period. It was that in some cases, they weren't designed to just be played by themselves. They were designed to be played in another context. And so, for example, with this copy of Backgammon on the Atari 2600, you could play with another person and actually bet money on the outcome. And you could use the doubling cube feature within the program like you would in a live backgammon match. That always struck me as quite interesting. And that's something that Philips experimented a bit with their G7000 video pack computer, also known as the Magnavox Odyssey 2. They released several packages for that system which were hybrid board games and video games. So you had a board game in which you moved stuff around and drew cards and that sort of thing, but there was also a video game component, so you resolved things such as conflicts between players using the video game instead. It always struck me as a really fascinating thing, and I think Backgammon here is sort of a very early example of experimenting with that sort of, I guess you'd call it a mixed media approach almost. So it was noteworthy for another reason as well, and that was the fact that it was an early competitive Atari 2600 title that actually had a single player mode. So a lot of the late 70s games for the Atari 2600 that were really geared towards 2 players, think of stuff like Combat and that sort of thing, you had to play them in 2-player mode. You needed someone else to be playing alongside you, but you couldn't play it by yourself. But Backgammon actually had a single player mode. You could play against the computer. And this was one of the criticisms it had back in the day. A lot of critics who apparently were quite experienced with the game of Backgammon thought it was quite easy to beat. Now I'm not going to say whether that criticism is right or wrong because I don't really know Backgammon very well. It's one of those games that I've played a few times but I can never remember the rules for. So we're going to have to spend a bit of time going through the rulebook before we start playing. And I'm not going to say one way or the other that it's going to be too easy because I will almost certainly get beaten because I'm not terribly strategically minded. But yeah, as well as sort of that being a criticism though, a lot of critics also highlighted that as making the game quite suitable for beginner or intermediate backgammon players. And well, I'm certainly a beginner. So without further ado, let's go play Backgammon.
Okay, here we are once again with Atari Flashback Classics, and today we're taking a look at Backgammon, a game I can never remember how to play, however much I try and retain the knowledge each time I give it a go. So, let's rectify that at least temporarily by having a look at the documentation. So this is one of the older Atari 2600 games. You can tell by the old manual and the fact that they still call it the video computer system rather than the 2600. Copyright 1979. Backgammon. So, Backgammon in some version has been played in various parts of the world for over 5,000 years. It's possibly the oldest war game still being played. It's suggested in early writings that the game was originally designed to train soldiers for combat, as Backgammon has all the intricacies of any war game: strategy, position and timing. It is both a game of skill and luck, which probably accounts for its longevity. The most ancient possible ancestor to be found so far dates back to the ancient civilization of Sumer. The Egyptian pharaohs played a similar game. Game boards were found during the excavations of King Tut's tomb that are akin to Backgammon. The ancient Greeks and Romans played different forms of the game that were mentioned in many of their writings. A form of Backgammon was played in the Middle East long before the Crusades. In fact, it is believed that the Crusaders brought the game back to Britain with them, where it flourished in the 8th and 9th centuries. The earliest written mention of the name Backgammon was made in 1645 in a description of a game that is very much like Backgammon as it is played today. The rules of today's game were set down by Edmund Hoyle in 1743. Hoyle of Hoyle's Book of Games fame for those who used to enjoy PC games of a certain era. The object of all the variations of the game from its beginnings to now is to move your game pieces around the board and bear them off before your opponent does. Okay, so let's have a refresher course on how to play Backgammon because I need it as much as you do. So the backgammon board is divided into 2 halves or tables. The divider is called the bar. The inner table is the portion at the bottom of the playfield. The outer table is the portion at the top of the playfield. This sort of game, I always find that they kind of fill it with terminology that doesn't seem necessary. I'm sure there is a reason for all that specialist terminology there, but no, you basically just need to know that the pointy things are the spaces. Each player's inner and outer table has 6 points. The point is the area on which you rest your pieces as you move around the board. Each point is numbered for reference starting in each player's inner table. The white side is numbered 1 to 12 starting at the bottom left of the board. The red side is numbered 1 to 12 starting at the bottom right of the board. Moves are governed by casting the dice. When beginning, the players each cast 1 die done automatically. The player with the highest number begins first. Yeah, okay. The white player must move his or her pieces counterclockwise around the board, casting off or bearing off from the white inner table. The red player must move his or her pieces clockwise around the board, bearing off from the red player's inner table. Pieces are moved across the points according to the numbers on the die. Right, so this is how you move. Each die must be considered individually, but they can be applied to 1 piece or 2 pieces. So you roll 2 6-sided dice, and if you roll a 5 and a 3, you can move 1 piece 5 points, another piece 3 points, or you can move 1 piece 5 points, and then 3 points. When there is only 1 piece occupying a point, it is called a blot. A point with no pieces or a blot is said to be open. A point with 2 or more pieces is said to be made or closed. Opposing players' pieces may never occupy the same point at the same time. So here's the sort of competitive aspect. If a point is closed, an opposing piece cannot move to that point. However, a player may move past the closed point if there is a sufficient count on the dice. If a player has rolled a 5-3 and the 5 count point is closed, moving 5 points and then 3 points is not allowed. However, moving 3 points and then 5 points is permissible. So it's not a case of you just add them together. You have to do 2 separate moves with 1 piece. Players must use the count on both dice wherever possible. If only 1 die can be used, it must be the die with the higher count. If you close 6 consecutive points anywhere on the board, you've established a prime. Your opponent cannot move past the prime until you break it by moving pieces. If a player lands on a blot belonging to the opponent's blot is hit, meaning the piece that occupied that point is removed to the bar. So that's like taking a piece, basically. Whenever a piece has been hit and placed on the bar, it must re-enter the board on the opponent's inner table. The white player enters on the lower right inner table, the red player enters on the lower left. Until all pieces on the bar have been entered, a player cannot move any other pieces on the board. Okay. Doublets occur when you roll double numbers. When this occurs, you must move the number shown on 1 die 4 times. Maybe a 1 piece or 4 moves. Okay. As soon as the player has all 15 pieces on the inner table, bearing off begins. This is the object of the game. Once borne off the board, a piece never returns to play. The first player to bear off all pieces is the winner. A piece may be borne off when the number of points remaining is the same as the number on the dice. So you've got to get an exact number. For example, a roll of 5-3 will bear off a piece from the 5 point and the 3 point. If the roll is higher than any occupied points, pieces may be borne off from the highest occupied point. If a player has 2 pieces on each of the 3 and 2 points in a roll of 5-3, oh, so you can roll higher than you need. A player may use all or part of the roll to move pieces within the inner table instead of bearing them off. With a roll of 1-2, a player may move a piece from the 5 point to the 3 point and a piece from the 2 point to the 1 point. Okay. Right, I think I get it. So, here's a little bit about the doubling cube that I mentioned in the intro. So, Backgammon has enjoyed various degrees of success throughout its history. The game is in a decline in the United States during the 1900s until the introduction of the doubling cube in 1920. Until this innovation, the outcome of a game could be decided in the first few rolls of the dice. Play would continue anyway, since with any dice game there's always the chance of something unusual occurring, but most of the time the games became boring. Backgammon is one of the few gambling games in which one can see what the opponent has at all times. The doubling cube introduced the strategies of bluffing and psychological play that are similar to other gambling games. The game of chance factor is always present because of the use of dice. A skillful player can lose to a less skillful player because of the luck of the dice, but with the doubling cube added, the more skillful player will not lose as much. As a gambling game, Backgammon is played for a base stake, which is agreed upon before beginning play. The doubling cube, represented by the number at the upper left of the playfield, starts at 1. This means that the players are competing for the original stake. Each time the stakes are double, this number changes to 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. 64 times the original stake is the largest amount possible to wager. After the player winning the first move has completed his or her turn, the computer will ask the opponent yes double or no double. Okay. In both one-player and two-player games, if neither player doubles during the game, the doubling cube will remain green and a 1 will show on the screen. Okay, and here's where the name Backgammon comes from. If a player is born off all his pieces and the opponent is not born off any, the game is called a gammon. The opponent loses twice the stakes, times whatever is showing on the doubling cube. If a player is born off all his or her pieces and the opponent still has pieces on the bar or in the player's inner table, the game is called a backgammon. The opponent loses 3 times the stakes, times whatever is showing on the doubling cube. A backgammon among skilled players is rare. It is advisable, if it appears you are going to be gammoned or backgammoned, to refuse your opponent's double and retire from the game. Okay, it has been mentioned that the left and right difficulty switches must both be in the A position for normal gameplay. And here's AC Juicy. Okay. Right, I think we can live without the doubling cube for now because we don't need to gamble anything. So I guess we want game 3, as that's one player with no doubling cube. Okay, well, let's have a go. So, one player versus computer backgammon with doubling cube. One player versus computer backgammon. Here we go. Okay, so there's the computer going for their first move. Right, there's my roll. So I've got a doublet there, I guess. Oh, these are weird controls. This used paddle controllers in its original incarnation. So you have to sort of rotate the stick on this Switch version to pick which thing you want. You can just push. Oh, you can just push left and right on the D-pad as well to cycle around the thing. So that's quite sensitive, though. Okay, so I'm white, I guess. All right, so let's move one of these. So one. Oh, you have to move it yourself. So one. Oh, the conveniences of modern games are really missing right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't go there because there's a thing on it. Yeah. So can I move that 12? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What am I doing wrong here? Those difficulty switches are in the right place, so... Am I going the wrong way? I'm probably going the wrong way, aren't I? Alright, put that down. Put that down. Forget that one. Let's try this one. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Yeah, okay, so I'm going counterclockwise. Let's... Oh, these controls. Let's get this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then this one as well, just so we don't leave a blot. See, I'm learning. Is that not it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. I hit one of his pieces. How about that? Oh, you hit one of mine as well, you penis. That's my own fault, really, for not paying attention. So I guess I've got to move this one. And that comes in down here. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Oh, you dick. Okay, I'm starting to get a feel for this now. I think. Maybe. Possibly. Why can't I move? What happened there? Oh, I didn't have any moves I could make, I guess. Right. So, you go there. And you go there. Blanking out the screen is where the computer's thinking. So, like I think I've mentioned previously, on the Atari 8-bit, it was quite common to poke an area of memory which turned the screen off, because if it wasn't having to use any processing power to update the screen, then it could process sort of mathematical calculations much more quickly. And I assume that's a similar sort of thing to what's going on here. Alright, so you go there. That gets everything off this bit of board. And then... not a ton I can do that is massively practical. So I guess we start moving these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bollocks. Okay, you go there. And then you go there. I always found Backgammon quite intimidating for some reason. I mean, it's mechanically it's very simple. But it's just got sort of a reputation as, I don't know, I always think of it as like a game for grown-ups, if you like. It's a game that old people play. And I always found that a bit intimidating for some reason. Right, so you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, you can't. Okay. So right, you were there. So you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. And then one of you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. So you have to do them one move at a time. You can't just add the two together. I feel like I'm going to lose. I feel that's quite inevitable at this point. But whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 1. I see what they mean about sort of the outcome becoming fairly inevitable after a while. Because after a certain point, if you've not been playing particularly aggressively, you get to a stage where not an awful lot is happening. Not a lot of interaction is happening between the two of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can't go that far. So you can go there, though, and then you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, you can't go there either. Bugger. Piss. Alright, you can move then in that case. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know. It's actually quite hard to tell who's winning. Largely because I don't know the game well enough to be able to say that. But, well, we'll see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, no. No, that can't go anywhere. So in that case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I am blot free. He's actually doing quite a nice job of blocking me off, though. Especially those ones on my inner board? Outer board? Inner board, I guess. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. No. You can't go anywhere. Well, fine. You can move. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, you can also move there. There we go. I just need to get those ones out of the starting zone. They are pretty stuck at the minute. Yep, still stuck. Okay, so let's move these down here. You can come a bit closer. He hasn't quite made a prime, but I do need a 6 to get past that, I think. 1. Yeah, still can't do that, I don't think, can I? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, he's in the way, definitely. Well, I can move 4 times, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, no. I'm counting incorrectly, apparently. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't like you, Red. You suck. Can I get past that yet? No. No, I can't. God damn it. You can go there, though. And you can come a bit closer. Yeah, I can see this being interesting against another player. Oh, I think I can escape finally, can't I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah, bollocks. I'm trapped. Help. Oops. You go there and shut up. Oh, I'm gonna lose. I feel I might be about to lose. Can you get out yet? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah! Escape! Sweet escape. You move there. Don't you dare block me. Hit me. Whatever it is. Blissful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now it's just a race to the finish. He's got all his on his inner board, though. So, yeah, I think it's all over for me. Especially if he's going to get a bloody double. What's an arse? It's an absolute arse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I actually don't mind the counting the spaces yourself. It sort of makes it feel a bit more like a board game, if that makes sense. Sort of deliberately inconveniencing yourself, and makes it really feel like you're actually moving pieces around the board. Yeah, it's just this paddle control system doesn't work terribly well on the Nintendo Switch controller. It's fine with the D-pad, which is what I'm doing, where you can just move it one at a time. But trying to make sense of it with the analog stick is, yeah, that doesn't really work. Yeah, I've lost this, haven't I? Not yet. Well, that double's going to help, definitely. 1, 2. So now I can start bearing these off. There's one. Can I not do that? Okay, fair enough. There's one. There's another one. I thought you could bear off if you rolled more than whatever. Maybe I was making that up. Maybe you do need to roll the exact number. So many doubles. What is going on? Oh, right. I guess you can bear off with a higher number if there's no other possible moves you can make. So I can bear this one off there. I can't bear that one off with 4 because I can move this one 4. Yeah, it's in the bag for red, isn't it? And I can't bear any off with that one. I can just move these two down. Yep, it's all over. Oh no, I've got some more moves. Yep, all over. Not even a fanfare. I wonder if it does something fancy if you gammon or backgammon your opponent. But, oh, okay, yeah, I quite enjoyed that actually. Now that I remember how to play it. That's a pretty convincing incarnation of backgammon. It's the kind of game I think you need to kind of study a bit in order to understand the strategy and tricks involved. Because after a certain point in that game, it just felt like we were just rolling dice to see who got off the end first. But I'm pretty sure there's more to it than that. I could have probably played more optimally, I'm sure. But anyway, that is Backgammon for the Atari 2600. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please help out the channel by leaving a like or a comment and subscribing. New episodes of Atari A to Z are on Tuesdays and Atari ST A to Z on Thursdays. Check out atariatoz.wordpress.com for a full archive. Do please also check out my other projects moegamer.net, where I explore Japanese and Japanese-inspired games from yesterday and today, and videopackgames.wordpress.com, which aims to catalogue the small but well-formed library of the Philips G7000 Videopack computer, also known as the Magnavox Odyssey 2. You can also support my work on Patreon or buy me a coffee. You can find links to do both down in the video description. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.